A juggernaut sports streamer could redefine cord cutting. Two streaming services merge, and it could screw over some viewers. Smart glasses with AI superpowers are coming soon. Apple's renovating its Windows apps. Google renames its AI ambition. Could more Microsoft games head to PlayStation? And Disney dives in to a big Metaverse push. This and a whole lot more taking over the headlines of the past 7 days. I'm Jason Greenwald, and this is The Fresh Wire. Hey everyone, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another episode of The Fresh Wire. I'm your host, as I've always been, Jason Greenwald, and we're just going to jump right in. Whole lot to cover. Hope everyone's been doing A-OK. In the upcoming days is the Super Bowl 58 Kansas City Chiefs, San Francisco 49ers. Going to be a heck of a match. Usher will be there with a pretty A-OK, if not pretty good halftime, and Taylor Swift may or may not show up. We're just going to have to wait and see. But enough about all of that. We're just going to jump right in. A whole lot to cover involving the world of entertainment. I'm going to be a bit more varied with how I cover things, so here we go. First off, a little bit of craziness. Moana 2 was unexpectedly announced earlier this week. The sequel to Moana. Very beloved film for 2016. I saw it on my own free time not too long after release, and it was absolutely fantastic. I loved pretty much almost every second of it, and I'm glad that there's going to be a sequel. A bit surprising that they announced a sequel just like this. It's going to be released in theaters November 27th. Their first look announcement was like just over 15 seconds, like 17, and barely showed anything, but I can't wait. Hopefully enough of the original voice cast comes back and it is another banger as the original one was. I wanted to talk about that because I really like Moana, the movie. But one of the biggest topics I really wanted to go into is this juggernaut sports streaming app that looks like it's going to be made coming soon. It's going to have some pretty impressive names behind it, backing it: ESPN, Fox Sports, and Warner Bros. Discovery, all coming together to unite to fix the biggest problem with cord cutting, and that is sports streaming. Streaming service. Looks like it's going to be held by Warner Bros. Discovery, but it's going to be a partnership with ESPN, or rather Disney, and Fox Sports. And they've agreed to, in principle, to launch this standalone app, as of now unnamed. They'll each have 1/3 ownership, and it's going to have a lot of content. If you're wondering, it's going to have ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, SECN, ACCN, ESP News, ABC, Fox, FS1, FS2, BTN, TNT, TBS, and True TV. Yes, that means NFL games, MLB games, NBA games, NHL games, so many acronyms, NASCAR, PGA Tour, golf, Grand Slam tennis, and if you have Disney Plus, Hulu, or Max, you'll have the option to bundle the new service with those services. I have the former two, as of now, one of them being free. Thanks, Sprint, now T-Mobile. And it's a big report. I think it's been officially confirmed at this point. In a statement, Disney CEO Bob Iger said, quote, "The launch of this new streaming sports service is a significant moment for Disney and ESPN, a major win for sports fans, and an important step forward for the media business." So, yeah, obviously a huge deal. Now, funny enough, a little bit of just confirming here. The real standalone ESPN streaming channel will still launch in the fall of 2025. Previously, it was targeted next year for the launch. Not the watered down ESPN Plus, but really ESPN. And Bob Iger said to CNBC the direct-to-consumer ESPN could launch in late August 2025, and confirming it'll be available in a bundle with Hulu and Disney Plus. So in other words, it's going to be better than ESPN Plus, I'm assuming, which is good. ESPN Plus has been fine, but it's clearly you don't really want to buy that service by itself. You want to buy it in the Disney bundle. But you also see Disney has been advertising Disney Plus and Hulu as a bundle, a dual bundle, not really ESPN Plus. I think it's a very niche market that they just added on for when Disney Plus launched. Speaking of Disney Plus, they're going to start their password sharing crackdown this summer. I may have talked about it before, but there's a little bit more information. Disney will start letting account holders add people outside their household for an, quote, additional fee. Didn't say how much it'll cost, but I can imagine it may be a few dollars, so it'll be price competitive to what Netflix is doing when they crack down on password sharing. For context, earlier this year, Disney Plus and Hulu updated their terms of service to ban users from sharing their subscriptions with people outside their households. It started applying to new subscribers January 25th. It'll be for existing members March 14th. So I guess this is now in effect, but it's not fully finalized because at least this article that I'm reading by The Verge does not specify what the additional fee is. And I guess it's just not available just yet. Netflix, by the way, it was an extra $7.99 a month to add a person outside of the household. So get ready for that if that's something that affects you. And it actually does with me. I can say that because the terms of service has not updated for existing members. March 14th. I'm waiting for that. My sister lives with two others and shares our Disney Plus. And yeah, what sucks is she's a huge Taylor Swift fan, a Swiftie, if you may. And March 15th they're going to release a new version of the Taylor Swift Eras Tour concert film, a new version of it that has 4 new songs, acoustic songs, a new single. And she's a huge Swiftie, and they're doing it the day after they crack down on current subscribers. It's painfully funny, not in a good way for my sister, and I'm just gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do from there. Also, cool little thing. Paramount Pictures really wants to let everyone know that Sonic is here to stay, and they, showed off some new stuff with Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and an upcoming spin-off series starring Knuckles, starring Idris Elba. It'll be a 6-episode series. I think it starts in April. The movie, I think, releases later this year. And I'm pretty excited for it. I liked the first 2. I do plan to check out Knuckles. It'll be on Paramount Plus. Now, very bad news, if this affects you, something that's also happening in April. Funimation and Crunchyroll. They announced in 2022 they were going to merge, and it was going to be more so Crunchyroll to take over, and they're now confirming in April 2nd or early April, it's going to shut down Funimation, move everything over to Crunchyroll. They're apparently also going to increase the cost of subscriptions with Crunchyroll, which is pretty unfortunate. One user on x/twitter.com says their yearly subscription is going to go from $55 to $100. That's beautiful. They were, however, grandfathered into an older Funimation plan, which could explain why the price hike is so steep. So if you're on any sort of grandfathered plan, you're going to get screwed. And another legacy subscriber says they're going from $5.99 from another plan they were grandfathered into to $10. So yeah, that's not great. It's not great. To make matters worse, however, Crunchyroll has confirmed they will not support the digital copies that were redeemed through Funimation. The promotion allowed users to redeem digital copies of a Funimation Blu-ray or DVD they purchased. So, random example, I don't know specifics with anime on what's on Funimation or whatnot. But let's say maybe a Dragon Ball Z DVD or Blu-ray had a digital copy, like a code you could redeem, so you could have the copy digitally. Future thinking, future forward. That gave them the ability to store and view the show or movie through the streaming service. Funimation said users could keep the copies, quote, forever, but it's clearly not the case now. According to Funimation's support page, Crunchyroll, quote, does not currently support Funimation digital copies, which means that access to previously available digital copies will not be supported, unquote. So that sucks. That really sucks. I think what they said is because they were through Blu-ray or DVD, it's not like people bought them specifically through it. But then I read online that actually wasn't the case, and there was at one point an ability to buy these Funimation copies that were exclusively digital. So that's really unfortunate and genuinely stupid, because I also read another person saying that when the Funimation was bought, they said, "No worry about your digital copies. We'll resolve them. They will be fine." Clearly, that's not the case. But that was just what one person said. So, yeah, not great, especially because of rising prices and cost. and also some anime that may not even be on Crunchyroll that was on Funimation, because they have confirmed they're looking into moving everything, but they have not confirmed everything will move, and I find it very unlikely that they will. Another bad news bearer for the entertainment industry involves Warner Bros. Discovery. A few weeks back, I talked about Coyote versus Acme, a hybrid animated live-action film that Warner Bros. Discovery reportedly shelved for tax reasons, which means it could never see the light of day. And then the backlash was so bad that they kind of turned around with it and said, "All right, we're gonna shop around and see who wants it." And apparently, Netflix, Amazon, and Paramount all wanted the film. Warner Bros. Discovery refused. A new report says Warner Bros. Executives who had not even seen the movie rejected multiple offers to release the film. That's horrible. According to the Wrap, Netflix, Amazon, Paramount were more than interested in securing the rights, while each of the studios reportedly submitted, quote, handsome offers, unquote, for the rights, with Paramount's even including plans for a theatrical release. Man, that would have been awesome. They all fell short of the $75 to $80 million figure Warner Bros. Discovery, or WBD, was apparently looking for. That is extremely sad and actually disrespectful to both the live-action and animation industry. But, there could be any number of reasons why they would try to explain why it repeatedly turned its nose up at the chance to make a bit of easy money, but it really could just be the studio's leadership just did not want it existing. And if you were planning to work with Warner Bros. Discovery, whether in live action or animation, this is just another example of a film that looks like you'll never see the light of day, likely for tax purposes, which is extremely depressing. Scoob Holiday Hunt was another one. I think it was going to release on HBO Max, now Max, but then they shelved it for tax purposes. Batgirl, I think it was Batgirl. Another one, shelved for tax purposes, and I think both those films were nearly complete, just like this one. I think this film was complete, or at least close. Nearly completed film. So, painful. Just so stupid. But just got to move on and hope someone leaks it. Like the SpongeBob movie that was supposed to release for Netflix was apparently leaked on x/twitter.com. I haven't seen it. And legally, I have to say I did not see it, even if I did. It's obviously illegal that it leaked. But now I'm kind of hoping, someone do something with that, because we missed out on Batgirl. I liked the Scoob movie. I would have liked to see Scoob Holiday Hunt. Both of those never saw the light of day, even in leaked form. I don't see it happening with Coyote versus Acme, because very few people I can imagine have seen the movie. Studio executives can say, "Oh, we haven't seen the movie, so it can't be us that leaks it." Very, very disappointing. Anyway, that's enough with tech. Sorry, not tech. That's enough with entertainment. We're going to go into tech, and it's going to be like a lightning round. First off, we got $349 smart glasses with, quote, AI superpowers. They're called the Frame glasses, and they're open source eyewear coming from a startup called Brilliant Labs, touting Frame as a way to get AI translations, web search, and visual analysis right in front of your eyes. Pretty impressive stuff. It seems like they have some sort of specs. Some specs were actually released by Brilliant Labs. They have micro OLED displays, a camera, microphone, battery, CPU, and yeah, it all looks pretty impressive. But it's of course going to be, limited and not very powerful. Has a cute little nose charger though. Looks actually pretty funny, a silly Mr. Power charger, giving the glasses a, quote, nose, unquote, when you plug it in. And it's unknown if this will be that much better than Meta's Ray-Ban glasses that are $299. They don't have a screen as far as I know, but they have speakers and a microphone, and they seem to be, smarter than the average bear. But, at just under 40 grams, they'll definitely feel lighter on your face than Apple's recently released 600-gram Apple Vision Pro. So keep that in mind. Now, another tech thing involving Apple, as I talked about the Vision Pro, they're moving away from iTunes on PC. Yeah, iTunes. Remember that? If you have like an iPhone and a Windows computer, you probably used iTunes at least a long time ago. And yeah, they're finally launching the Apple TV, Apple Music, and Apple Devices apps on Windows this week. They originally launched a preview last year, but they have now removed the preview tag after working with Microsoft to launch the apps. This includes an overhauled iCloud for Windows app, designed to move Windows users away from the reliance of iTunes, according to Mac Rumors. Now, at this point, if you use all of these apps, then iTunes will now only be required for access to podcasts and audiobooks on Windows. I don't know why podcasts are not part of Apple Music, but I use Spotify. Anyway, for anyone that's tuning in, by the way, to this podcast, I really do appreciate it. I'd place through this. Apple Music will now have access to the iTunes library. Apple TV will be the movies and TV shows, and Apple devices will let you back up or restore your iPhone and iPad, as well as sync content. So iTunes really is virtually unnecessary. These new Windows apps are now available, but no signs yet for ones that will support ARM processors or Qualcomm-powered Windows devices. For context, Apple's latest and greatest processors, the M3, M2 chips, are ARM-based. Google, going back into Google now, they have been focusing all in on what's called Bard, Google Bard, their AI chatbot that's meant to compete with Microsoft Copilot and ChatGPT by OpenAI, and now goes by a new name, Gemini. The company announced on Thursday it's renaming the Bard chatbot to Gemini, releasing a dedicated Gemini app for Android that I've since installed and checked out, and yeah, it's pretty legit. They also announced Gemini Ultra 1.0 is now being released to the public. Ultra 1.0 is the largest and most capable version of Google's large language model. So, yeah, pretty impressive. It's part search engine, and part chatbot. No dedicated Gemini app for iOS. And something that's pretty cool is if you download the app, you can set Gemini as your default assistant, meaning it replaces Google Assistant as the thing that responds when you say, hey, the company I've been talking about, or if you long press your home button. I actually tried this out, and it does work. It is definitely different from Google Assistant, where if you say the phrase, it will be, here's a little bit of a summary, and here's what they found. This one is a chatbot through and through. So whilst they're not getting rid of Assistant entirely, they're definitely deprioritizing it from the looks of it. So yeah, pretty big stuff. Also, Gemini Ultra is going to cost $20 a month, but here's the kicker. It's part of a subscription that costs $20 a month, and it's the Google One AI Premium plan. I actually have Google One, pretty good stuff, 2 terabytes of storage and whatever else comes with Google One, as it has been. I found it worth it. I pay yearly for it. But Google One AI Premium looks like the exact same thing, but it includes the new Gemini model. Unfortunately, there is no annual plan. I will not consider it. But it does suck a little bit because it looks like it includes the Gemini model and available soon, Gemini in Gmail, Docs, and more. That really sucks. I would love to have more AI assistance in my day-to-day tasks, as long as it's accurate and legitimate and utilized humanitarily. But it looks like they just straight up double the price. I think the one that I normally get looks like it's normally $10 a month. Again, I pay yearly, so I don't pay monthly, and it's cheaper each year. But AI Premium is twice the cost, and the only difference is the AI model. So, yeah. So that's pretty unfortunate, but you live and learn. Hopefully Google, reconsiders and just integrates it with the plan that I imagine many people already have, including me. Also, small little thing involving Plex, media server that many people use to host their ripped movies, TV shows, a way to watch their live TV through a supported device outside of their home, at least until next-gen TV kicks up, DRM encryption takes over, and that ambition that has been the case for several years completely fades away, and we all get screwed over as a consumer. And that's a story for another day. Now you can rent movies through Plex. It's been talked about for a while, known for being more convenient than legal until relatively recently. You can now rent movies for, I think, as low as $3.99. Includes, The Matrix, Lord of the Rings, Barbie, and, Wonka, other big films. So, if you've been using Plex, you probably haven't been using it for entirely legitimate reasons, at least some people. So there you go. Pretty interesting, and that's that. All right, now on to the gaming section. Got a few little topics here and there, and they're actually pretty big for one company in particular, Microsoft. In recent days, there's been some big leaks that have been going around that some of Microsoft's larger first-party or exclusive titles could be making its way to PlayStation. Sony. Yeah, the whole, console wars. While Nintendo is just there twiddling their thumbs as they make the most amount of money with some incredible games. But Xbox games on PlayStation, didn't think I'd see it. Phil Spencer, CEO of Microsoft Gaming, posted on February 5th on x/twitter.com the following, quote, "We're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update event for the next week where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned." So next week. So I'll be covering my podcast expectedly. The plans, by the way, sources familiar with Microsoft's plans detail that, including The Verge revealing the upcoming Indiana Jones game, close enough. The game that actually looks pretty darn good is being considered for PlayStation 5. Details about other titles such as Hi-Fi Rush that were also Xbox and PC exclusives could be making its way to PS5 and Nintendo Switch. Honestly, it always felt like more of a Switch game, but speculation revolving that game, Starfield, and other Xbox games coming to PS5 intensified over the weekend. Data mined game assets hinted at Hi-Fi Rush for other platforms, following rumors of the game and Sea of Thieves making its way to non-Xbox platforms too. So, very interesting, especially because Microsoft just bought Activision Blizzard. They got a boatload of assets to work with, and I don't know what their plan is. You would think, after spending nearly $69 billion, nice, that they would make them more exclusive. It just seems like what you would expect, but hey, maybe not. What you also wouldn't expect, at least based on Disney's history with video games, is what they recently did just 2 days ago. They bought a stake in Epic Games to create, quote, expansive, unquote, universe within Fortnite. How much? $1.5 billion worth. The news was revealed during Disney's Q1 fiscal year 24 earnings call, announcing it'll be built in Unreal Engine, and it'll let players, quote, create their own stories and experiences, express their fandom in a distinctly Disney way, and share content with each other in ways that they love, unquote. By the way, I say with Unreal Engine because it's made by Epic Games, and that's what runs Fortnite. The most beloved game for some people specifically. So, yeah, this is a pretty big deal. There was a picture that was released that showed some sort of ambition that Disney has, and it's pretty good. You see these multiple worlds interlinked with each other. One of them, this is very concept-y. I'm seeing a cafe from the Cars film, the Wreck-It Ralph complex, Disney Plus, a very media-oriented land. And I guess a more adventure one with the Disney Cruise Line, a Star Wars one. I see the ship from Lilo and Stitch. Obviously, extraordinarily very impressive of a concept idea. And if it pulls through, there's even like a racing track. I know Disney has a racing free-to-play game. I think it's called Disney Snowstorm, Race Storm, something like that. And I've actually heard it's not that bad, but it is free-to-play, so you're always going to have those sort of issues with free-to-play. Speaking of back to Microsoft, it was actually earlier today, someone on x/twitter.com posted that Microsoft has now updated their website for their first-party games. It no longer says they're for Xbox Series X and S. It now simply says console. They've also removed the Xbox branding from Game Pass, and any mention of, quote, coming day one to Game Pass, unquote, has been removed. Very interesting. So now it looks like you could take that in a lot of different ways. It's just a website being updated, but it is pretty interesting, especially because this update happened after Phil Spencer confirmed we're going to have a business update next week. So these sort of changes could be interesting. Coming day one to Game Pass no longer being a thing could be intriguing. It'll be intriguing. And last normal thing I want to cover involves VR. Even though Apple Vision Pro has released, and it's obviously extremely mixed because it's $3,500, but it has some of the most capable VR, AR, whatever R capability we've ever seen in a modern headset. It's still, it's got some ways to go. But in the meantime, Ubisoft late last year released Assassin's Creed Nexus for, I think it was the MetaQuest headsets. I actually bought it because my headset came with credit, like store credit. So that's what I bought with it. I've yet to play around with it, but I've heard it really wasn't as bad as you would think. Unfortunately, sales-wise, the co-founder and CEO has called the game sales disappointing. Quote, disappointing, unquote, stating the publisher will not be investing too heavily on VR for now. They replied, Ubisoft was not willing to commit too much of its resources to VR because Assassin's Creed didn't sell as well as expected. Here's an official quote. We have been a bit disappointed by what we were able to achieve on VR with Assassin's Creed. ... It did okay, and it continues to sell, but we thought it would sell more, so we are not increasing our investment on VR at the moment because it needs to take off. That was the same thing 3 times. They also mentioned that Apple, what they're doing, they're very impressed by it, thinking it's fantastic hardware, but they're going to have to look at VR, the VR business, as something to look at, but not invest too much until it grows enough. In 2022, Ubisoft announced that it had canceled Splinter Cell VR, which was in development and was set to be exclusive to the Metaverse. So it seems like over time, Ubisoft has like, we're going all in VR. And then like, oh, actually, is this worth it? And they determined maybe not. Okay, so that was the main section of the podcast. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Just going to dive into futurology. We always do futurology every week, now every Friday night. And in a first, this is an article by Smithsonian Magazine. In a first, a prosthetic limb can sense temperature like a living hand. Yeah, prosthetics, crazy discovery, crazy improvement for amputees' hopes to experience the feeling of human touch using prosthetics. For the first time, a functional artificial limb has been fitted with fingertip sensors that allow an ordinary prosthetic hand to sense and respond to temperature just as a living hand does. The mini touch, described in a study published Friday in Med, was created with affordable off-the-shelf electronics with no surgery, requiring no surgery, and could be fitted to existing commercial prosthetic hands in a matter of hours. So very impressive. I guess at some point they were able to figure out how to get that sense of feeling into amputees and prosthetic hands, and they finally did it. In May 2023, researchers published a study revealing when they put thermal electrodes on the residual arms of amputees, then stimulated them by touching hot or cold objects with an attached sensor, subjects thought they were experiencing those hot or cold temperature touches in their missing hand. Interesting. Phantom thermal sensations. Someone, after a trial related to a study, said, quote, it was the first time in 20 years that I could actually feel the warmth of another person with my hand. Oh, that sounds great. I'm glad that they're able to. Phantom thermal sensations were experienced by 17 of 27 people in the original study. So now my question, as a lot of other people's questions are, when could this release? And unfortunately, this article I'm reading does not specify, unless I'm completely missing it. I guess it's described in a study. So this may be one of those situations where they show it can be done. It's just got to be done by a big distributor or manufacturer. So I respect that they put forward this, and I hope that it succeeds, giving people, it's the beauty of futurology, It's not just, are we going to see aliens, or we're going to go to Mars. It's, how can we improve ourselves? I'm not talking about the Neuralink brain implant that Elon Musk is trying to push forward. That's going to be something to very deeply fear. I fear, personally. But, situations like this where they're improving amputees' lives, I mean, good for them. It's great. And I wish them the best of luck. All right, so that'll be it for episode, I think, 27. By the way, I didn't say the time earlier. It is 11:27 p.m., February 9th, 2024. And that'll be it for me this episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I think this is going to be an extra short episode. I thought I had more topics, but I went through them, I think, faster than usual. But that'll be it. Thank you all for watching, but listening. And I will catch you all around. Take care of yourselves, and have a gosh darn good. Have a good day, morning, afternoon, evening, or night, however you are, however you live. Take care.